So welcome to another exploration into the Earth Nouveau with exploring consciousness with the Earth Nouveau rather. And our topic today is sailing smoothly through the simulation. Now, today we're going to just share, our experiences with practical tools, techniques, tips, maybe, how to get through the day, especially when we have a day that's not that great. Lots of us are therapists or have been therapists, so I'm sure we have a massive amount of expertise here and information that we can share. The only thing I want to start off with is I want to say something quickly about the simulation business, because there's lots of people out there who are talking about, oh my God, we're living in a simulation. Well, yeah, we're living in a simulation, but I mean, we all know that. So that's actually nothing new, right? So this is a holographic simulation where spirit is holographically projected into every single one of us. And that is not something that will ever change. The only thing this is obviously where I'm coming from. For me, this is normal. And actually, I looked it up. Hold on a second. What the definition for simulation. Oh God, where is it? Hold on a second. So simulation is the process of creating a computer model or a physical representation of a real world system in order to study and understand its behavior, make predictions or test different scenarios without having to directly interact with the actual system. Now, without having to directly interact with the actual system, now that's an interesting point here, because, outside that simulation, we're all spirit. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to be disconnected from the outside system, from spirit. So we can perfectly happily live in the simulation with our awareness connected to source. And this is obviously where the simulation has been hijacked, but that doesn't mean that this is a wild thing to live in a simulation. It's perfectly normal as far as I'm concerned. And the whole idea of us to work with that is acknowledge it. Don't make a big fuss out of it. Know that it has been hijacked. We are outside of our conditioning. We are connected to source. So, and this is really the work that we are doing here to get rid of all that conditioning, of all that hijacking business, to find our way back to source and happily live in the simulation. And then, of course, live multidimensionally outside of it simultaneously. So does anyone want to say something about the simulation business? How do you feel about it? Is there something that needs to be discussed along those lines, or?
I'll say something because I think that there's definitely different layers and different levels of this simulation depending upon your frequency and your awareness. And I think, like the lower one holds their vibrational frequency, the more the simulation is going to affect them, right? It's like when all you know is this, and you think about like the blinders for a horse, right? When you can't see the bigger picture, you can't see past it, you're going to be stuck. You're going to be continually running on that hamster wheel within the simulation, right? So yeah.
Exactly. And thanks for that. I mean, and that's the whole idea of the self-mastery. Whole idea of the self-mastery is get rid of the blinders. I mean, take them off. Take them off. It doesn't take the simulation away. You're still holographically projecting your soul into this body, but you're connecting. You have an awareness that there is more to your existence other than that.
And
For me,
Marissa typed in the chat, it's a hologram, yet the experience is real.
Yeah. Yeah.
and just adding to simulation, because usually a simulation, when you use it, when you're using a computer for it, you're computing data that you're introducing. So for me, living in this simulation, in a sense, like that you can also add your own data to it, and then the exponential, putting some new data into it, making it in a different, creating your own way in this simulation.
Exactly.
Because it's I mean, simulus and simulation comes from the Latin word similis, which is similar. It's the same. So it should be the same as you want to compute it, right?
Well, it's interesting, it's almost like there's two different energetic geometries going on. There's the creation. I've been really interested in how how we've come down from spirit through the 15th dimensional time matrix, and there are two different geometries at play, the crystal spiral, but also the Fibonacci spiral, which are creating the hologram in two different ways. So, once you step out, of the one, I think you can hold a higher frequency just naturally, or more organic, I think is a good way to put it.
Yeah, and organic is a good word because it doesn't take the naturalness away. Yeah, we're not becoming all AIs now just because we are acknowledging the simulation as such, But I mean, it's that creation of a reality that is required in order for us to have that form and to interact with each other, right?
And if I can just
Right.
say, sorry, somebody was going to say something.
Mary, go, and then Sandrine.
No,
Yeah?
I was just going to say that when you mentioned it first, Martina, the first thing that came to me was the way that when I used to go on holidays, I used to always try out all the simulators, at the airports or wherever, or in those theme parks. There were always lots of simulators. So one of them was that you could go into a simulator and fly a plane. Now, it is part of pilot training that they have to use the simulator first several times, to get used to flying the plane. So it's like, it's not real, but it's actually very real in how you experience it. You're not flying a plane, and that you don't have a plane full of passengers, but the experience of it is very real, and your breathing is very affected, and the excitement of it and the horror of it, and that you're going to crash. I used to do it as well with roller coasters because I absolutely am terrified of roller coasters. So I used to go into the simulators and go on the roller coaster that way. I think it's interesting the way that we can try out those experiences without them having to be real, and yet the experience is very real.
And that is, what a great example, isn't it? What a great example, because, we always talk about Earth being the school, to learn for us to then, as we all talk about the galactic citizens, to go out there and then start the celestial medium journey, which we have already started, but then, being able to go to all the different planets, become stars and all of that in a much more conscious awareness. So thanks for that, Mary. That's really cool.
And I have one of my clients is terrified of flying, and so she started doing the simulator to help her relax when she just get more familiar with the sounds and the feel of it.
Brilliant. Sandrine,
Yeah, well, this is the age old. What I'm listening here is like, Plato talking with Aristotle. Plato, the one above, and Aristotle as below. The science and the supernatural. Let's put it like that: the supernatural, and the simulation for Plato was in the spiritual playfulness in the ritual. So ritual is nothing else but serious play, which is very, like in the simulation. It's a simulation you are doing to transcend or ascend to a higher vibration or a higher self, however you want it, or higher state of consciousness, however you want to call it. So this is just like, currently this is coming very well, very nicely together, and it's something that we have. I mean, as soon as we started thinking, probably we have been thinking of, yeah, what does it all mean? Where is it all coming from? What do we do with it?
Absolutely. And Mary, you've led us. We're going to use your.
Can
your who wants to talk? Jen?
Yeah, I was gonna say that I haven't used like simulation outside of me as a tool, but what I tend to do is when the world starts being challenging to me, I remember that it's just a simulation and it takes the charge out of it for me so that I can simplify like how to reset the program to do what I want it to do. And so I look at what's in front of me as like a video game, right? It's a simulation, it's a video game. So all I have to do is change what level I'm playing on to make it respond the way I want it to respond. And when things don't go great, then like it's just a game. Like it takes the charge out of it for me. And so if I can take the emotion out of it and I can just sit back and figure out a way to enjoy it again, then everything flows again for me. So I use the simulation, I use remembering that it's a simulation as a way to bring the joy back into it.
Fantastic. Let's make this our first tool. Since we used the word simulation, we talked about it. And like Mary said, as well, being in this helicopter simulation, it affects the breathing, even though you are very, very aware that you are in a simulation. Now, we are here in a simulation. We forget about it, obviously, most of the time, but that's what Jen is bringing back, just remembering that. And then, like Tanya said early on, it's all about bigger perspective. So the first tool is remember it's a simulation, it's a game. And then just expand yourself beyond that simulation, beyond your body, beyond the house. We've done this a million times, beyond the land, beyond the earth, beyond the simulation. And literally, it completely changes your perspective. And it will change your breathing. It will change your mood. It will change all of that. So that's tool number one. Expand yourself out beyond the simulation. Sandrine.
And just remember that actually by playing, you are learning much faster than if you were learning it by rote, or if you're writing it down, or if you're listening to it, or if you're just reading up on it. If you do something in play, which is why also in current in vocational training, having simulations, to train people on how to use tools and even technical tools. Well, it's not easy with baking bread, but where I'm going to, or even like surgeons. I mean, they do serious learning, surgical, very high level surgical interventions on computer simulations, and it's very effective. People can learn so it's by seriously playing on that you learn much faster, which is why it's so important that children should play and learn something.
Yeah, I agree with the play, right? It's like as we get to be adults, the play is sort of worked out of us. And I have a friend who's in his 70s now and or almost 70. He's an improv person. And he created a circus, a paper circus. He always has this idea about playing in the circus and playing with the animals and being different roles. So he's created this wonderful little tool to help change perspective. right? To change the way, you're thinking seriously about things. Because when you go to the circus, you can have fun, right? You can see the polar bears, you can see the tigers jumping through hoops, and it brings sort of that innocent heart, right, back into daily life, having the play and having the fun. So I would say that that's another really great tool. Getting back to Jen's comment about joy, right? When you're taking yourself back to that innocent heart, the heart of the child within, and if you're around children, that's a great thing, because they're always looking at things from that playful perspective. Well, usually, unless they're on the floor throwing a fit, but
And
but
that's
that
fun
play,
too, actually. I think we must practice that too. I think,
Mhm.
oh, I love that. Actually, tool number 3, throw a tantrum. Literally,
Mhm.
get on the floor and do like the little ones do. Scream the whole thing. So useful. I must do this.
Being on the floor, it's
Yeah.
useful.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I work with a lot of different people, and with the tools and techniques that I use, I can see all the anger that is stored up in people, all that emotional anger, and that's a great a great way to release it, right? Throw your tantrum, lay on the floor and kick and scream. I always like jumping for that, because when you're jumping, allows you to, release that pent-up energy. And we all need that.
My tantrum is at the coffee machine, when the other person forgot to put in the water, and then there is also the coffee beans that is empty, and then the tray is also full, and then I'm like going into a tantrum, and then I'm like at the office, and I'm going like, yeah, I know the only thing that I'm still good for here is just to approve the leave days of our gardener, and all that stuff, and then everybody's like, someone forgot to clean the coffee machine.
Back away from Sandrine.
That's so powerful. Befriend your emotions. And I think the worst we can do is actually standing in front of the coffee machine and internalizing all of it and starting to tense up. Just make some fun with it. Everybody knows it's just the fun expression. You're not ripping anyone's head off by doing that. It's that allowance of anger, that allowance of tears. Some people, like, we're actors. Some people can really bring up tears like this, and it's such a good way of doing that. Just allow when tears come, don't hold them back, by no means ever. If you're sad, you're sad. Sit with it. Give it some time. This is literally a tool. There are therapeutic institutions out there who do nothing else than sit with somebody in their anger. Don't even hold hands or anything. Just sit, hold space, and allow the wave. The emotion comes through in a wave. Allow the wave to go yourself through the wave. That's the energy. And as soon as you try to get out of the wave, this is what when I had my jet ski accident in South Africa, I knew the wave was going to be so high, and I got scared of the wave. So I tried to go through the wave, not on top of it. And it threw me off, almost killed me. So go with the wave, and don't be scared of that moodiness, that emotional sort of turmoil, and allow it, because the more we are in allowance, the faster it dissipates. Now,
Yeah, so that's a good tool. Let your emotions flow.
yes, go on the wave, get on it. Think of yourself on a jet ski. You got the power, you're strong, go on it, ride the wave. I mean, people do that for fun, right? So why are we not riding our waves for fun?
Well, and we've in this simulation, there's been a lot of conditioning, especially from the older generations, that it's not good to feel your feelings. And that's a load of crap, because when you store it up, you store it up, store it up, it's going to create dis-ease within your body. So important, really important to let those emotions flow.
Yeah. Now, there's another way of dealing with emotions. I mean, I used to do a lot of magnet work with people. And I'm just going to take you through a little exercise here. Again, we're talking about emotions. We talk about something that you don't necessarily, anything that's stuck in your body, tension, feeling of whatever that is, you know. So just imagine, you can close your eyes or not, it doesn't really matter. Just imagine a magnet in front of you, front of your body, and just give it like a, you know, a meter space or something, arm's length space. And make that magnet really big. Make it like the size of a fridge or something. And that magnet so is in front of you. And then you just allow yourself to have that magnet attract all the emotions that are no longer useful to you, the thoughts, the feelings, any points of views that are working against you. Allow that magnet to just absorb and attract everything. And as you're closing your eyes and you're perceiving this and you're doing this exercise, you just maybe or may not see certain symbols go into that magnet, see certain colors go in that magnet, sounds, tastes, whatever you're perceiving there, and just allow that to happen. And there may be spaces in your body that you can pinpoint where there's a stuck space and it's not leaving, and that's okay too. You know, you can always use that magnet again. So let them go, whatever wants to go right now, just for the purpose of this short exercise. And then we're going to take that magnet and just allow it to sink down into the ocean all the way. Just put it down into the ocean, and all the energy will get rejuvenated and cleared and cleansed. And then you do the same thing. You take that another magnet as big, as tall, and take it on the back of your body. And then just see what happens on the back. It might be very different to the front. And again, just allow all that stuff that's no longer supposed to be in your body to be attracted through that magnet. Pull it out of your body. And you don't have to do anything, just be an allowance of whatever wants to go. Give permission to whatever wants to go. And then again, you know, you can do this as long as it takes, but now for now, we're just gonna then take that magnet again and just drop it down into the ocean, all the way down to rejuvenate, to cleanse, to clear, and all those good things. And then just get a sense of how it feels different. It may already feel completely different. You taking action, you taking responsibility. And of course, you can take that magnet. Usually what I do is I'll take it to the side of the body, take it on top, down at the bottom of the feet. And just use that. And you can do this on a daily basis before you go to bed, maybe. And just cleanse and clear all the information. Take it out. Everything you've learned, everything, let it go. And it's not going to be lost. It's just going to open up the space again for you to appreciate more of the awareness floating in. So that's another tool that I've been using over the years, the magnet. How was that for you guys? Did you
Good.
anything?
Yeah, the magnet and the bat seem more powerful for me. It seemed like more kind of things move. I think we have more of an awareness of the front of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, tingling sensations, and for me, the front, yes, and it immediately went into my hip. You know, the one. That is just
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of tingling sensations, and kind of very relaxing, I have to say. It was so good to just sit back and hand it all away.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's that simple. It's that
Mm.
simple. A daily tool, and you don't need a therapist, to pay. Not everyone has the means to do that, but it's really that simple. And be aware, like we are all saying, there are certain places that won't allow it. There's a bit of and that's fine too. You might want to go to those places, massage them a little bit, and then try again the next day and see what happens. Have a little chat with them. What for instance, you have, I don't know, your shoulder. I have a chat with the shoulder. What does your shoulder require from you? It's that old way of communication with your body, with yourself. What does the shoulder require? Is it tired of carrying something? What is the shoulder tired of carrying? And that kind of thing. Good. Well, this was another tool just now. Questions. A question is literally a tool. People don't take that serious. It's one of the most significant tools out there. Any pain, any tension in the body, just ask a bloody question. Why? What's going on? Why is my heart hurting? Why is never a good question. We know that. But it's always, I wonder, I'm curious, what's it going to take? What do you require? How can I contribute to you? So keep it very open. Every question is there not to be answered, but to raise an awareness. What is this? Simple question. What do I do with this? How can I change this? These are such simple questions, and one of the most potent and powerful ones out there. Now I just got a list here. If nobody else wants to.
Well, I just want to say something that sort of goes in line with like releasing energy from your body.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I find really helpful is, putting your hand on your heart and saying your name, and then saying a different name and feeling the resonance in your body, right? Because your name, that's your body's yes. And your body will resonate when you say your name in a certain way. And so once you get to know that energetic resonance of your body's yes, then you can ask your body, hey body, did I take anyone else's energy today? Body, what can I release? Are there things I can release? Right. And then you can just see them spiraling out of your body down into Mother Earth, or returning to sender, scooping that energy out of the solar plexus or anywhere in your body where it's holding. I'm going to return those emotions back to my mom. They weren't mine. So I think an awareness, just when you're asking questions to your body, knowing what's a yes and what's a no, I think is really important.
Great tool.
Yeah.
Great tool.
Yeah, that is a great tool.
Return to sender. Isn't that a Elvis Presley song?
Return to sender.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Kind of thing.
Address unknown.
Exact Monday. Here we go.
No such number. No such
No
phone.
such phone.
And singing, of course, another tool. Singing.
Yes. Yeah. And I just wanted to share with you quickly, and I know you'll remember this, Martina, that a few years ago, just about 3, I think it was, I broke my shoulder. And it was really, really painful. One of the most painful experiences I think I had, for about 2 or 3 days. It was really bad. But I was put on painkillers to help with the pain, but the painkillers were making me sick. So I really couldn't take them. So I had to stop them. And I was, you know, kind of wondering what I was going to do. And I just thought, well, I'm just going to have to cope with the pain and that's it. But I actually discovered, and I know all about self-healing, and I've done different therapies, and I believe in all of that. But still, there was some part of me that doubted that I could heal myself. And I actually took the left hand and I kind of made a cup shape out of it, out of the palm of my hand. And I put that over my broken shoulder on the right. And I brought a lot of love and warmth and heat to my shoulder. And I just sat there and I waited for something to happen. But that actually worked. I never had to take painkillers again. And I was amazed myself that that works. And I know you probably have experienced this maybe already, but I have never done that, you know. And if you think about it, even if you fall or something like that, or even as children when we fall, we immediately put our hand to the place that's hurting. And, you know, whether it's the side or the knee or your elbow or whatever. And it's a very instinctual thing to do. But I think as I grew older, I sort of didn't recognize that. I didn't recognize that we used to do that and that you could do that and that it does help and it does work. So it's just in relation to the body and what Tanya was saying about asking the body, you know, where is it hurting? Where is it carrying something, whatever. I think that self-talking to the body is just so healing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? It's not even about belief anymore, as far as I'm concerned. It's about just doing it.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
it. See what
Yeah.
happens. You know, what
Exactly.
you lose. You know,
Yeah.
there's nothing to lose. Now, Tanya, you mentioned something about yes and no and testing and talking to the body. There's something called, well, we all know kinesiology, where we're actually testing, you know, muscle testing and all of this. And there's a guy, and I wrote down Robert Williams, and he's done psychological kinesiology. And there's a technique which is called Psych-K, psychological kinesiology, Psych-K, where, you know, you can literally change limiting beliefs, states of certain emotional moods and things like that. And the idea is basically to cross over the midline, the right and the left side of the body, you know. And in fact, I'm just thinking we can advance on this one. So you could, so let's say we want to change a limiting belief. So there's a limiting belief like let me change my belief here, that, you know, I've got an issue with authority with all my tickets, right? So I have an issue with authority. That's a limiting belief, and that creates obviously all those tickets at the moment. So I'm going to test myself, you know, just muscle test. Anyone can muscle test. We just do this one here because we can do this together. So just make, you know, so body, give me a yes. Yeah. And for me, the yes would be, I can't open it. Body, give me a no, it opens. Right. So I'm going to test myself now saying, do I have a problem with authority? Absolutely, yes, I do. So that's a yes, right? Now, and you can use this for any belief or whatever else. Now we're going to do this Psyche exercise. So as you're all sitting down, and let me actually do this. Take your left ankle and put it over the right. So you want to cross over the midline. Left ankle over right. And we start with the left over right, and then we're going to take the right hand, put it over the left. And you don't have to necessarily, if you can't do this, that's fine. Just link it that. Yeah. And we're just going to breathe a little bit. That's enough, you know, if you just want to hug yourself there, but you want to take the other over. And then we're just going to close our eyes here, and just breathe. We don't have to frantically think now of anything. We're just going to breathe into that. limitation, whatever you're working with. And we're going to expand it out. So not just right and left, we're going to look at design of the body and personality of the body. We're going to bring the personality and the design together, so that the personality, our genetic DNA, the 80%, works with the body design, the other 20%. Couple of breaths and just watch your breathing, because it might change slightly as you're going through this. And even if you don't work on any particular belief or anything, you can just use it for personality design. Good. And then release it. Release it again. So it's that crossover idea. And then you can test yourself again. You know, do I still have a, and literally, I'm not playing, I can't, it's not giving me a yes anymore. Okay. So this is a Psyche exercise, crossing over the midline of the body. Very, very, very powerful. I used to do a lot of that with my clients, you know, obviously talking through it, but then also give people tools. I always love giving people tools to walk away with, especially when they can do the testing by themselves. And that takes a little bit of practice, you know, to know that kind of thing. So crossing over, and that's of course also good. You can use that for psychological stuff, but you can also use that if you feel, you know, your energy is low or something like that, right? You just cross over, you know, you can jump, bring the elbow over to the opposite knee, and anything cross over. You don't have to do it on a trampoline. If you have a trampoline, even better. But that's a nice one to do as well. And it's so simple. You don't have to do it for half an hour. I mean, that literally took how long? Yeah, that.
No, this is it's funny that you're showing this exercise, because this is actually one of the things that when I'm feeling like I'm really stuck or something, I'm just, you know, going into twisting. I'm just twisting a little bit left and right, and do a little bit of this twisting breathing. And then, yeah, also when I'm doing my yoga, and I have some of, you know, in the instructions, there's some of the you know, the eagle arms, or then crossing over the midline. It always brings back it always aligns me somehow, you know. By the twisting, you're actually opening up again. So this is really, it's a very powerful exercise to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's called a cross crawl, where you know, you do that, marching in a place and swing, or you can swing your arms, you know, up and down. So it's like inside out, outside in. That's how all of this works.
There's another technique that's similar to that called switching, right? Where you put your hands over the top of your head. Right? So you are crossing, right, the midline, but you're also crossing your top line. And that shifts energy really easily as well.
Fabulous. Another one I've written down here is the crown pull, is where you place your fingers on the forehead and you start separating. You just pull apart and you go up all the way to the hairline and in the hairline if you want to, and just really, you know, move over the top all the way into your skull. And that's really opening up. It's a bit like what's that technique people use, the tapping technique? The tapping. EFT tapping. I mean, you don't have to learn the whole thing. You just learn a few things. It's tapping inside the eyebrow here, underneath the eyes, I think on the chin or something, or on the thymus, of course. Just the thymus thumb. If you feel like, you know, something is going on, you're stressed, you're anxious, you're whatever, just do a little bit of that, you know. Lana is coming in. So, I mean, we're just throwing out those tools. Yeah. I mean, you got to do them, whoever's listening to this, but I mean, it's too fucking easy not to do that, right? I mean, come on. This is almost like, you know, what's the thymus? The thymus is all about, you know, awakening the concentration, the reception. It's even for physical stuff, you know, everything physical as well. Yeah.
Well, that's also the high heart chakra.
High heart chakra, yeah.
Right. And those electronics the electronics that are active in the thymus help direct your, you know, your frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And your growth and adolescence, of course.
And it's connected to the immune system.
Yeah, lymphatic.
So, you know, if you feel a bit run down, tap on the thymus. It may just make a difference. There's something called a zip up. Place your fingertips on the pubic bone. Take a breath in whilst moving your hand up the center of your body to your lower lip. So you're connecting up the central channel, pubic bone connecting all the way up. You're just going on the meridian line all the way up to your lower lip. Repeat a few times, activating that central zip up. The hook up, what's that? Place your fingertip in your navel. Place your fingertip in your navel. Place your fingertip of the other hand between the eyebrows and then gently pull up both fingertips as you take a deep breath in. And again, we have our central channel there. So, you know, it's just so simple. I think it's too simple sometimes, so we forget. I'm so glad because, you know, I never do this because I totally forgot about all of that. And when I look at this, I'm like, this is great, right? Hi, Lana. Now, breathing, we all know breathing is super, super, you know, there's so many breathing exercises. I mean, there's the one breathing exercise I remember I started using in the very beginning because I looked into the kahunas, you know, the ancient Hawaiian, knew that the breath was key to good health. And the heart breath, which is actually called breath. Ha means breath in Hawaiian language, is the word for breath. And what they used to do, I mean, when I did this kahuna, whatever, I think it was part of the NLP or something, they told us a story that when they got together for a meeting, they would sit for an hour and just do the ha breath together. And then after that, there was hardly any negotiation because it was already sorted. Just a summary of everything, just to be, you know, noted down. And a ha breath is nothing else. If you think about it, let's breathe in for 5, mouth is closed, breathe in for 5, hold the breath for 2, and then you open your mouth and you literally say for 7. Where you can change the counting, but you always want to make that exhalation longer than the inhalation, and just give yourself that means life. Ha also means life. The ha breath. Hold. So next time we do a show only ha breathing for an hour or 2. For an hour, we just breathe the ha breath and then see if we still got something to say.
I would think that would be great. At least, yeah, that would be cool.
We did once a couple of years ago. Remember that? We did a Kundalini breathing for an hour. That was fun too. We had a mantra and we kept doing it for. It's just, I think the sound cut out a couple of times, which wasn't that great, but yeah. So again, another tool. How simple? How simple. Just by doing those now, just by talking about them, I feel so much more relaxed. How's anyone else doing? What other tools have you got? I've got more, I think. A couple more, yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we can probably just talk about energy clearing
Yeah.
for a minute. So one of my favorite ways to do it, well, you can do it for yourself, right? We're talking about clearing energy out that's not yours, right? With the magnet technique, with the crossover, with the Psych K. But there's also, I love thinking about the central chakra channel, almost like a little mini tornado, right? So you can, when you're bringing in your source code light, and bring that light down and visualize it like little sparkly scrubbing bubbles, and then just spin it through your whole central channel. You visualize that energy just like spinning like a tornado. Counterclockwise clears, clockwise brings in new information. When you think about those creational and decreational spirals, when you're clearing energy, that will help. Okay, what am I intending to bring in? What am I intending to clear out? So one of my favorite ways to clear energy in a space, I'm just going to light up this sage. Just take some sage or Palo Santo works. But if you don't like the smoke, use essential oil spray. Like clary sage or lavender is really good. And what I do is I take either sage or essential oil spray, start at the door of the room you want to clear and go around the room counterclockwise, right? And you can, when you're using the smoke, you want to spin counterclockwise. And just what I do is I visualize a broom with bristles made of light, just sweeping, sweeping, sweeping on a cellular level. I go around the room, clearing. I see the walls getting cleared. I see the items in the room getting cleared. It's almost like you're sweeping up the energetic dirt, sweeping, 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 and then boom, right out the door. Right? You can do that in all, any place in your house. I think, your bed. I clean my bed, energetically clear my bed every time I change my sheets. I'd probably do the bathroom about the same cadence. I clear my massage table or my healing room every time after I have a client. Clear out all the energy that's not needed. And then I intend new energy to come in, new light, higher vibration. I just see those like sparkles of light fitting into place. And then things feel good.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And crystals can help you set those intentions as well. Quartz crystals are really great for holding intention. So after you do your clearing, you can just talk to one of your little friends and say, will you help me hold the space, the clear space? And they will, and it's really easy to energetically up level when you're thinking like that, right? Because you're clearing out whatever, which might feel good yesterday or last week, but now all of a sudden it's feeling really heavy because we are up leveling so much, every day. There's that new higher frequency energy that's available to us, but it's not going to come in unless the old stuff is cleared out. So using the techniques to clear, right, and then asking the crystals to hold the space for the higher frequency that you're bringing in. And grounding it.
And I like that you said help, because there are people out there who they don't walk out the house without their crystals. We are all crystals. Our structure is crystalline, so we do that cleansing and that space holding wherever we go. That is a capacity that every human being has. Now those tools are there to help us, to support, to connect, to work with our environment. Absolutely.
I
Jen.
would add smells to what I use for clearing too. So like I'm very ruled by my nose. So obviously like smudging, but I've recently become like kind of addicted to incense. Like it just elevates the energy in my house when I'll put like I'll use the charcoal incense disc, and then I'll put drops of Palo Santo oil or rose oil, patchouli if I need comfort. Smells will clear the space too if they're a high frequency smell. So just that comfort and that association and the frequency of the oil itself, you can use as another tool to help you clear space.
One of the things I do along those lines is I fill up a little spray bottle with essential oil and isopropyl alcohol. And you can use it as a hand sanitizer. You can use it just to, just like spray a little bit, and it lifts the energy, the essential oil frequency of that.
Sandrine, you have your hand up.
Yeah, so we're talking about the crystals, and this brought up the thought of what is a computer made of? A computer is made of crystals, of quartz. So last week I went to visit in Luxembourg. We have one of the most potent computers currently that is being put in place, and it was so fun. They told us everything about the box, and then I just asked, and do you know how much quartz is inside of there? And they were all like, no. And I'm like, would be interesting to know how much quartz crystal have they been using, because everybody always forgets that computers are just like, they are made out of organic stuff, organic, I mean, crystal is organic because you can grow crystals in a sense. Well, not in a sense, you can grow them. So yeah, so I found that very fascinating. But he looked at me a little bit sideways afterwards, but it's okay, it's fine.
Yeah, the silicon chips.
We have
There's
a
reason
question.
they call it Silicon Valley.
And this is also why we can short circuit computers with negative energies or with pure intent. I used to work with a guy, he had to have his computer continuously. There were people repairing his computer. So what the fuck's going on with this guy's computer? It was literally him interacting with all those crystals. He knocked out the computer the whole time. Yeah. We got a question here for you, Tanya. Tanya, how do you mix the oil?
So for me, I just use essential oil and isopropyl alcohol. What I like about using the isopropyl alcohol, that I also do energy clearing on before I use it. But what I like about the isopropyl alcohol is it doesn't get moldy. Like you can use charged water, you can use moon water, you can use water charged in the sun or the moon or with crystals. But, unless you're using it very quickly, sometimes it will get that mildewy smell if you're using too much water in your mixture. I find that alcohol doesn't do that. Alcohol just stays clean.
Cool.
You could use distilled water also. But again, you're going to notice maybe the same thing. If you're not using it very quickly, you might get a little bit of a mildewy smell. So maybe adding a little isopropyl alcohol to that distilled water would be helpful.
So, hi.
Hi.
Hi, Lana.
Instead of writing, I'll just get in and ask the questions.
Exactly.
So how much essential oil would you say in your little spray bottle that you were using there just now? How much essential oil will you put in there? Like 1 drop, 2 drops?
No, more than that. Maybe like a teaspoon for a bottle this size. Yeah. Maybe a teaspoon. I go by smell. So, if it's not lavendery enough, I'll add more. But you know, different
Yeah.
scents are stronger. Like the frankincense is going to be stronger, and like I got this amazing. I wish you could smell. I'm going to spray it, and maybe you'll be able to smell it. So it's lotus oil. It's blue lotus from Egypt. So that is very fragrant. You just don't need as much of the lotus or the frankincense as you need with the lavender, I think.
I see. And
I
what
say
is
that
the
lotus is the most healing oil for the crown chakra.
what kind of alcohol is this that you're talking about here?
It was just 70% isopropyl alcohol
Oh,
Tequila.
okay.
No, it's tequila.
or tequila. Yeah.
Tequila.
It works as well.
No, drink that.
Or some beer rum or some whiskey or something.
You could, you know, you can use
Just
alcohol.
vodka.
You could
Right,
use
clear
vodka.
vodka. Yeah. Yeah.
Although when you're spraying it around, you might, you know, smell a little bit like
Mhm.
a distillery. So yeah, Lana, I just get those the 2-pack isopropyl alcohol that come in the white, you know, clear bottle
Mhm.
from Costco. You know, and
Yeah.
I mean, in COVID, it was very expensive and hard to get, obviously, but now you can, you know, get 2 bottles for, I don't know, $4, $3.
Yeah. So I want to share a funny, you might not find it funny, but I found a funny little story about scents. So I was walking a few evenings ago in front of our home on the sidewalk. I went for a walk and I was coming back home, and it was I think it might have been getting a little dark already. The sun was already setting and all that. And as I was walking back, almost in front of our house, I suddenly had this scent. I was smelling the scent of like a woman's perfume. And I'm like, where the heck is this coming from? You know? And I walk a little further and I got further in front of our house, and the scent was no longer there. So I walked back towards where I was smelling the scent. And as I walked back, I could smell it again. And so I wasn't too spooked, but I was a little spooked. I'm like, who the heck is following me? Some woman with high perfume is following me down the street here or something. And so I turned around and I said, don't you dare follow me into my house. You stay right out here. And so I was talking to this female perfume scent, you know, that was in front of the house. And I thought that was quite amusing, you know, that I was actually encountering this very strong female perfume in that spot. And there was actually nobody walking there to have passed by and, you know, left a scent there, because it was just a quiet afternoon or evening, you know. And I thought that was pretty funny. And you guys are talking about scent, so that reminded me of that experience I had there.
You know what, Lana, thanks for bringing that up, because that reminds me of another tool. Because, you know, we all have capacities with disembodied beings, which some call them ghosts, you know, and literally you can smell sometimes the perfume on those disembodied beings. So I almost want to say that you had a ghost following you. Now, why do they do this? They do this because, you know, the majority of ghosts don't even know that they're dead. So they're attracted to people with capacities to actually help them to move on, to get out of the role. So this is another tool. When you start feeling that you have too much density in your place, it might just be beings that are attracted to your light. And then you just basically send them on. Say, thanks for trusting me to help you. And it's time to move on. Go back to whence you came from and never return to
You
this.
know what I think that happened was that I don't think, let's just say, like hypothetically, that it was a ghost that was roaming the neighborhood or something like that, and just wandering through and don't know where he or she was. I think I kind of felt like I walked past the individual, you know, because as I was walking, there was no scent. But when I reached a certain spot, I could smell it. And then I went past that spot and it was no longer, I couldn't smell it anymore. And then I back up and walk back to where just to be sure that I was not crazy, you know, that I did smell something. And, you know, I like to heighten my techniques and my tools as well, like all of us do, right? So that's why I backtracked and I went back to see if I would still pick up the scent, and I did. You know, and there are no like trees blooming, and the scent was very distinct. That it wasn't from a flower or anything like that close by. It was just more perfumish, you know, like you would buy in a store. You know, that cheap kind of perfume kind of thing. And I know that when people pass away, some cultures, what they would do, they would spray the deceased with a lot of perfume, you know. And sometimes when you would go and around the casket or the coffin, you would smell that scent, or you know, or they would leave the bottle there and you can help to add some spray perfume to that individual. So it's quite possible what you're saying there, Martina.
Can I tell a ghost story?
Go for it, yeah. Let me just, before you go, let me just, it's really important. This is not a joke, because with the veil lifting, more and more we are called to be of service. Go for it, Jennifer. Oh,
Okay. When I first bought this house, the people that lived here before me, an older couple, the gentleman had passed away about a year and a half before I bought the house. So the widower that was selling the house, her name was Susan. And you could tell Susan was like, Susan's a little witch. She's a religious witch, but she's still a little witch. You can see all the signs around the house of her. But when I first moved in, you could feel this like angry, oppressive energy that would close in on you. And so like I cleared the house, and I would clear the house, and it would be great for a couple nights, and then it would come back, and Marbles would like jump up and like sleep on my back and like hiss in the middle of the night. Like you could tell she was protecting me. So I'll clear my house again, and it just kept coming back. And I finally realized that it was him. And one day I could smell this like rancid, when that feeling would come at me, it would smell like a wet, rancid, infected dog. Like it was an awful smell. It was not perfume. It was a really bad smell. And I could feel it like hover over me. And there was one day where it got so strong that I turned around. I was like, you need to back the fuck up, because we're not doing this. And so then I went and I smudged my house again. And then I found in my closet, like I hadn't moved my clothes into my closet because I was waiting for the carpet to get replaced. But I had gone into the closet just because I felt something there, and there was a bayonet in the closet, which is like an old Civil War kind of sword. I'm like, oh, okay, this is where it's coming from. So I took a washcloth, I didn't want to touch it, and I put it out in the garage, and his name was David, and his last name was Susan. Well, Susan was coming to get her mail the next day anyway. I was going to put it out by the front door for her. So I looked around the house, and I was like, David, I'm going to put your bayonet out at the front door. I said, Susan's coming tomorrow to get the mail. Either you can go with her, or when I get home from work tomorrow, I'm going to open a portal. I'm going to send you back to source. But this is not where you live anymore. He was gone the next day. So I gave him a choice. So I didn't step on his free will, but I could smell him when he would come in. And he was you could feel that he was disrupted because Susan wasn't there anymore. And he didn't understand why. But he was attached to that object.
amazing.
Well, I think spirits get attached to the house too. When I first moved into my house, I was at my refrigerator and I saw the shadow, almost like the outline. It was night, the outline of a person in the back. And I just had a knowingness that it was the man who lived here, and his wife was still living, and she'd been moved to an old folks home. And I said, she's not here anymore. You can go visit her, but she doesn't live here anymore. And he never came back.
I had another experience maybe about 2-3 years ago, and I didn't know that I had the ability to smell, strong scents that are unseen, until I had this experience, and that made me become more aware. So when I do smell things around, I pay attention to now. And it was, I could smell this strong scent of dried up blood, like when there's an injury and you can and the blood gets dried up, and how it smells like this stinky smell. I could smell this scent, and it was really strong. And I didn't know where it was coming from, because nobody got injured around me, or I wasn't injured, or there was nothing around the home or anything like that. And I'm like, where is this coming from? But I could smell it. It was a strong scent. And I was speaking to someone who has more awareness, and that can see beyond the veil. And I was telling him about it. And he said to me, wait a minute, let me take a look for you. And as he was looking, he saw this young guy who was injured. And I can't remember if it was injured in accident or war or whatever, but apparently he was never crossed over. And so he was just wandering the earth, and he happened to run into me, and I guess he was just following me, thinking that I would be able to help him to cross over. So I was actually smelling the scent of his injury. And so the person that I had told about it started to question him a little bit about what's going on. And then he was saying what happened to him a little bit. And then he was able to open up a portal and allow him to cross over. So from that moment on, I never smelled the blood again. And so since then, I'm like, oh, okay, I better start paying more attention to strong scents when there's nobody around, or I can't identify it in my natural environment. And so that's why I kind of walked back the other night from that strong, cheap perfume that I was smelling. Yeah.
I
But
do
yeah.
house clearings for people. Thanks for sharing that, Lana,
Mhm.
because it's true. There's all kinds of smells that can come out. And occasionally I'll go in to do a house clearing and nobody in the house smokes, but there's like one area that smells a lot like cigarette smoke, right? And oh, the person who died there used to be a smoker, right? So paying attention, when there's odd smells that don't have a source, right? That's usually because there's an unseen being there.
And I think it's really important to acknowledge your sense, how you perceive them, because, I think so many people get hung up, oh, I can't see them. Well, you can't see them because it's not the sense that you're using. Like Lana, she can't see them maybe, but she can smell them, I mean, I can't see or smell them, but I can feel them. I know exactly when I feel something, and in the beginning it was very disconcerting for me, and pissed me off, because I wanted to see them, because my hairdresser, when he comes to the house, he can bloody see them. He gets so scared because I got so many. Oh my God, what's good? I said, just calm down. They live with me. They have permission to be here. Because you see, this is the other thing. Not all of these beings want to be crossed over. Some of them just love being in your environment because they feel comfortable with you. And if they don't create shit and chaos, then why not? Because they learn from you, you learn from them. Some of them want to just be a contribution, and that's a good question to ask. Why are you here? To be a contribution, to learn something, to just keep me company. Some of them want to give messages to others. So sometimes you get literally a message, and then you can choose to, pass it on or not. So this is a really important, I think, area to start for us to acknowledge. And it's not just human beings that have crossed over. It's also a good way of really practicing now, starting to talk to other species, or animals, or plant spirits and things like that, because that kind of communication is really opening up for us. And the more we get bored of watching those idiotic, scaremongering news and all that kind of shit, what are we going to do with our time? Connect. And yes, we're connecting through the internet now, which is absolutely amazing. And what else is there to connect with? Yeah, everything we can start connecting with now. So it's thanks for bringing that up. It's really cool. Great tools.
And what I don't know if it has something to do with me, but as soon as I enter into a shop and there is nobody, and I just do my shopping or my groceries or whatever, then suddenly everybody is just in the same aisle, and I have to get out of the way constantly. The last 2 days I was doing the same thing all over. I went into a shop, there was nobody in there. I went into the aisle to look at things that I wanted. Suddenly everybody was just moving things around. I had to get out of the way. Other people wanted to go the same, and I'm like, what? At the press shop at the airport, I was the only one in there. Suddenly 5 people all wanted to be there where I was standing, and I was like, I'm looking at the food. I just wanted to look at some new recipes, like, what? And suddenly 5 people around me, and I'm like, whoa, okay. Which is, I don't know, I won't say that I'm the attracting point, but it's like, where the energy goes, you flow, the others flow as well, right? So when on the this is just
fact, why won't you say you are the attracting point? Because
I might be, yeah.
Let's face it, you are a generator, right? And our aura is huge. They say the generators, be the generator. I think, I don't really make a distinction, but we have these huge auras. But apparently the generators have this enveloping auras, inviting auras. And, we're all, sort of creating our energies from our sacrals. And we're all self-contained, creating energies. And there are lots of people out there who need energies. So I wouldn't be surprised for 1 second, if your aura that is so huge just attracts, magnetizes all these people into you. And I think that is something to acknowledge, because you might walk out of this place and feel slightly less rejuvenated because you've just either perfectly the way you are, shared it out, let it in, put it out, or actually in an awareness have given your energy away, got drained. So I think this is a perfect way of looking at it.
This is what so 2 incidences. One has to deal with I was sitting in Paris at the East Paris Est, the East train station, waiting for my friend to arrive with the TGV. And I was I love watching people, so it's the ideal place. You just get a coffee and you sit down and you just watch people. So it's absolutely fantastic and amazing. And that particular quarter of Paris is just, anyways, it's the cabaret area. It's where a lot of creativity and a lot of it's a hot pot of all Asian, Persian, Asia, everybody's just coming together in that. So the energy is just wonderful. It's like, oh, you can live up, because nobody cares how or what you look like, because like it's all just, we're just beings there and we want to do something. So sitting there at the train station, I honestly, there were 2 people coming from this side, and I was like, you guys are from Andromeda. And it just popped like this into my head. It really, I'm like, oh yes. And then they came back again 5 minutes later, and it was again like, I'm like, I was drawn to them. I was like, yeah, you're from Andromeda. I have no idea where that came from, but it's like, wow, excellent. And I still have chills, because these guys were just like fascinating, and I really wanted to hop on that train. And I'm like, no, you're waiting for your friend here. I haven't had an encounter in this airport yet of something supernatural. Not yet.
Well, airports, train stations are the perfect place. These are portals. These are portals, not just for, all ghosts, obviously, but also all sorts of, this is like in and out. It literally is. Yeah. Absolutely.
So are you at the airport now, Sandra?
Yes, I'm sitting at the Lisbon lounge, so that's why it's rather loud behind me.
Traveling. Great. Yeah, I
part of
think
my
the
job.
aura, the aura is a really great, I think, thing to talk about now that we brought up this expansive aura. So from my perspective, the aura is expansive and contractive. Can work it like a balloon, right? When you're meditating, blow it way, 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 way up. But one of the things I think that empaths experience very often is they hold that aura really, really wide, and it works like a sponge, right? So anyone who's standing in line with you at the grocery store, or standing in line, sitting with Sandrine at the airport, for example, right? If your aura is 30 feet wide, think about how many people can stand in line with you at the grocery store. And I see this with empaths a lot, where they work almost like a sponge, and they draw in people's emotions through the aura. So when you're going out, if you don't want to be that sponge and pick up everybody's emotional baggage that they're throwing at you, can bring your aura tight to your body, right? Bring it within that blueprint, which is the energy from your soul star a foot above your head, the energy from your earth star a foot below your feet. There's, this energetic sphere, which is like your technology, your fifth dimensional technology, really. And when you bring your aura tight inside that sphere works as an energy protector for your aura. So, play with that. It's almost like letting the air out of a balloon, right? To shrink your aura down. So remember how we played as kids, blow it up and then letting that air out, right? So just see your aura shrinking down. If you've never played with that, just work with it a little bit and visualize it, right? Like a little balloon right around you.
When you want to make yourself laugh about it, be a 12-year-old boy and think of the farting noises and the high-pitched squealing as you let the air out of the balloon. I had quit doing the bubble of protection for a while just because I wanted to play with it, and I didn't think I needed to establish my protection every day and things like that. But I have found that, it was fine for a while, but this last few weeks, as energy's been picking up, I was picking up things that weren't mine. That really is what put my hip and my back in pain for a few days. And so last week I've been better about establishing that, and I am surprised at how much quieter I feel around me, not having anybody else's noise. So there's a lot of merit to doing the bubble of protection.
There's another element to that as well. What I've been looking into, it's like, having played with this protection in the beginning of my journey, when I pull my aura in, it actually creates pain in my own body just by pulling it in. And having spoken about human design, I never really looked at generators having this huge aura, and this enveloping aura. And in the human design, I'm a generator, or a manifesting generator, even in the cosmic one. So that auric field, for me, it's I don't pull it back in anymore, because that starts to hurt me. But what I do is, I know I've got an enveloping aura, which means I can envelop as many people And I have no need for protection as such anymore, because I know I'm not absorbing their crap. I let it go straight through me. So it's a reframing of that, where you can maintain the level of auric field. It's just another way. Sometimes, you know, you'll have to, if there's too much going on, you just pull it in, you know, and you have to just weigh the pros and cons. But sometimes you want to stay. For me, it's almost the opposite. I just get bigger, 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 bigger. And then everything can just go through me, and I'm not absorbing any of that. I think I told the story once. We had a barbecue outside many years ago, and I was having a conversation with he's an Aussie guy, Australian guy. And I was like, you know, getting into it and really excited and blah, blah, blah. And he just kept retreating, you know, and I'm like, oh, well, you know, smelling or something. He fell literally into the bush, and I thought he was pissed or something. I said, what's going on? I was like innocent at the time. I said, what's going on? I said, no, don't take it the wrong way, but I just need to move backwards. I literally pushed him out of the way. That's how strong my aura became. So that's another way of looking at it. If you want to get rid of somebody, you just expand out and push them energetically to leave you. It's another manipulation you could use.
I use that technique sometimes when there's you know, at night. I live across the street from a school, and there's a parking lot gate right there. And every once in a while, there'll be people that hang out right there. It's not like a Friday or Saturday night. And, you know, sometimes it's kids and they're drinking and partying, or sometimes it's, you know, people who are arguing, whatever. It hasn't happened in a while, but I'll just send like love and light outside of my house, right? And just like envelop that area. And if they want it, you know, if they want the love and the light and any healing energy, they're welcome to stay, right? But usually they just leave.
If they can't hack the frequency, I love it.
Sometimes I have big oak trees in my backyard that overhang my house, and I live kind of at the top of a hill in a valley, like between the mountains, and so the wind comes through here significantly. And sometimes, well, last August we had tornadoes through the area, and I had just come back from Nashville, and one of those trees had split all the way to the ground, and so I got, and the tree next to it is what caught it to keep it falling on my house. So since then, when we get the really significant windstorms like last night, we had tornadoes through the area. I just took my auric field and I expanded it like as a dome around my trees and around my house, so that the wind would just like blow over that. And wind all the way around, but not so much at my house.
Yeah, fabulous. You can use it. I use this a lot for, I've got 2 cars outside the house. And there was a time, couple of, I don't know, years ago, where pretty much every second house got broken in. And I had, low battery. And I had the police come and say, you know, we suggest you get yourself a camera. So I don't need a fucking camera, right? You know, and I just put my field, a level of protection over the cars, you know, and it's funny because nothing ever happened so far. Knock on wood. Keep that aura strong. Yeah. There's right. So much we can do, hey? So many tools. Let me just pop this in.
Yeah, and I think really, I think talking about the aura, it's just really a matter of awareness, right? It's like once you start being aware of the way that your energy field is working, right? The way you're affecting people, right? Whether you're holding your aura big or holding it small, like whatever is working for you the best way. And sometimes there's situations where you want to do something different than you normally do. But when you're walking around the world with a giant aura and absorbing people's energy, right? Once you become aware of that, then you can start saying, wait, I can let that energy flow through me, or I can pull my aura in, right? So I think really going back to that tool of play, right? Play with it. right? Play with these unseen things that you're not familiar with right now, right? Because the more you connect with those parts of your energy field, I think the more you become aware, right? When you raise your level of awareness, you can also raise your energetic frequency.
And it helps you with communication. You know, this human design, going back to this one, like a manifestor, for instance, you know, they have a closed aura. So you can talk onto a manifestor for hours. If they allow it, they probably won't allow it because they fall asleep before you even get to 5 minutes, or they just walk away. Because and then you don't make yourself wrong for that. You just know who you're dealing with. Or, you know, the projector having a very strong focused aura, you know, that can sometimes, you know, for the generators, like, oh, it's a bit too much, but it's just that focus. And if we know these kind of things, all these tools are out there for us to improve our communication and to be able to live together in a completely different way, without bias, without judgment, right? Without making each other wrong. And this is really one of those things, how this simulation is going to work. Once we get out of all this right and wrong business and just make it all work and acknowledge our individuality, only then we can start beginning to actually work on the group soul consciousness. Once we all know that we're all organized differently, and it's the difference that makes the difference, that makes it all work, right?
Yeah, each of us are unique.
Yeah,
It's like the difference that makes up the whole,
exactly.
the entireness.
All the different puzzle pieces. Now there's one more thing. Ho'oponopono, very super powerful tool, right? We all know that. What is it? I love you, I thank you, please forgive me, I'm sorry, that kind of thing, right?
I'm sorry. Forgive me. I love you. I thank you.
Exactly. And it's not about guilt, blame, shame, or anything like that. It's about, again, the ability to respond and say, I am taking myself out of this. And I have actually, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I went to the park and we have so many deer, these huge with all the antlers and everything. And I walked in there once and there must have been, I don't know, a couple of hundred grazing. And I got a bit too close and almost shut myself. And I thought, okay, I love you, I thank you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, I thank you. You know, and it was such a good tool to just keep myself nice and steady and calm. And obviously they didn't do anything. Depends when you go, when it's that rutting time, rutting, I think it's called. In October, you don't want to go there and play. But other than that, it's amazing. And you can do this. You go like in a big city or something, and you start feeling, as you said, Tanya, a couple of weirdos, and you start feeling, oh, you're having an awareness that you're walking through a place that is obviously, anything can be created there. And you just keep on saying those four or five words or whatever they are, you know, little phrases.
Well, I think forgiveness is a really important tool for all of us, and not just forgiving others, right? I think forgiving ourselves also, right? When you feel like you wronged someone or even wronged yourself in some way, right? Didn't hold space for yourself, you know, in your younger years, maybe the way you would do now, right? Don't ruminate in negative emotions around it, like guilt or anger or frustration. Just forgive yourself. You know, be where you are now. I think that presence is a fabulous way to be. But if you're constantly thinking about a regret you had, right? Something you didn't do right by a person or a situation, You know, I think bringing that forgiveness in really can allow one to let things go.
Absolutely. Taking yourself out, cleansing yourself off. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that also brings me to negative thoughts and feelings, right? When you're hearing those negative thoughts and feelings spinning out in your head, just say, no, not today, right? Just for today, I'm going to stop those negative thoughts and feelings. I'm going to put my hand on my heart and say, I love and accept myself completely. Right? You might not feel that way in the moment. That's okay. Fake it until you make it, right? But when you're conscious of those negative thoughts and feelings and the way they're playing in your energy field and dropping your vibration, you can say, okay, wait a minute. No, I hear you. I see you, you know, not today. I love and accept myself completely. And then those thoughts that run in the consciousness begin to dissipate. And the ones that run in the subconscious, you know, it's like a loop, a tape, start to come up to the surface to become conscious.
There was a movie, I think it's called The Noise, and that's all I know. Don't ask me about more. It's called The Noise, and there was like where it was the guy's thoughts and feelings were audible, that you could hear them, not the women, just the guys. And it was so funny because sometimes when I have this self dialogue going on, it's like, just imagine people could hear this. It's like, what the hell? It was so embarrassing, you know, with these guys, because all the thoughts were totally audible. Is that the word, audible, for everyone to hear, you know? Yeah.
Like the movie What Men Want or What Women Want. I think
What
Women Want was with Mel Gibson, and What Men Want was with Tiffany Haddish, was it? But they something happened and then they could hear the opposite sex thoughts.
And you know what? That's not even so out, because, you know, we're all becoming more and more psychic. So literally, you know, we might not be able to pick up word by word, but if you do sometimes walk by somebody or in the vicinity of people, you know, there's a lot going on up there, right? And we can pick that up, especially when it comes to them communicating with you. And they, you know, do you also find that you're picking up lies so much easier? It's like, you just know when somebody is no longer authentic or telling you some fibs, you know. It's like, shut up. I know it's not true. Just don't even waste my time. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. And of course, I think this is also what's happening now. I mean, all this stuff that we hear about eclipses, all this stuff we hear on the news, you know, people have become almost saturated with it, you know, I don't think it's a matter of they can't discern it anymore and lost interest. I think we lost interest because we can perceive the inauthenticity of it and the lies, and we're just no longer interested to put up with it. And there is literally not even something to do with it. We don't have to do anything with it other than just turn it off, right?
You're right about that, Martina, because so many people are talking about the energy of the eclipse and the moon and the sun. You know, the time period between the two. You know, the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse, and you know, like, it's enough already. You know, how much opinions can there be out there that each person is saying this and this and this and this? I mean, sometimes you put it all together and you feel like it's all BS, you know, like, would you please stop it already? And let's be in the moment and have the experience of the eclipse. Just enjoy the moment, you know. And I was thinking about the solar eclipse this morning, and suddenly this thought popped into my head, and I'm saying, and it came in so clearly, and it was so funny to me. It's like going to watch the eclipse, right? In the path of where it is, and it's like you're going to a place where the sun don't shine. Like, that is really funny. Like, if you want to give it, somebody asks you something about it, well, I'm going to the place where the sun don't shine, and I'm going to be experiencing, the moment where the sun don't shine. So it's really interesting to watch this all play out in this manner.
They were talking about it on the news this morning, and
Every day they're talking about it.
yeah, every day. And, they're talking about glasses, and like, if you're in the path of totality, you can, when the sun is actually covered and you can see the corona, you can actually look at it. So when it's not, you can't. But when it's at that place in totality, you can actually take the glasses off and look for, there's a very short amount of time, 4 minutes or something like that, that it's actually in totality. And I think, Jen, you're going to be in totality where you are.
Yeah,
Or
my
you-
house was in totality in the 2017 eclipse. So it was like that, like you either had to have like the protective film. I had bought like a sheet of the protective film and put it between two pieces of plastic so that I could like hold it up and look at it without having like the glasses on. I could take pictures with my phone. But it was obviously too intense without that until it was in totality. But when it went in totality, it got dark enough on a bright sunny summer day, it was August, that my outside lights turned on, and like all the crickets stopped and the birds stopped chirping, and like you could almost feel like a vacuum, like it was just quiet, and like the whole world paused for 2.5 minutes. So I was in totality 2.5 minutes in 2017. It's a little bit longer this time, but that moment where they really are in full alignment, you feel that. You absolutely feel that. And you did a meditation with us, Tanya, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago, where you brought our hearts in alignment with the sun. And like what that brought me back was that moment of totality where I was in alignment with not just the sun, but the moon. It's really potent. I love the stories of what people say is going to happen this year during the eclipse. I think it's hysterical. Apparently, like the 2017 one went through like 12 towns that were named Salem, and this one's going through 12 towns named Nineveh. What initially, it's the rapture.
Fire and brimstone. Oh, no.
Yeah, the world's going to end on Tuesday, and that's fine. But I saw this Instagram post that like the path from 2017 totality and then the path this year intersect kind of in like Missouri, Kentucky overlap. It's not a very big square. And the lady was saying like in the Missouri side in that overlap square, there's a state park called like Giant State Park. And she was opining that like Sasquatch was going to come flooding out of this and come into our reality and things like that, which maybe. But that brought my awareness to that square. And I thought, instead of me going to Arkansas, which is where I was going to go, I'm like, I'll go to Paducah, because Paducah, Kentucky is in that square. So I'm going to the little footprint where the two paths intersect to see totality this year.
You'll have to tell us if you encounter some Sasquatch then.
I will. I absolutely will. And apparently the cicadas are going to come out like it's doomsday. Like we're going to have pestilence and bugs and whatever else is coming. So we'll see.
Amazing.
Yes, that's the other thing
know.
they've been talking about, the cicadas. And to me, the cicadas been coming out every year, at least where I live. I see them every year.
They
Not
are.
not in large quantities, but they're there. They're always there. Every summer I see them.
There are species every year, but there are like breeds that only come out like if you research it, certain breeds only come out like every 4 years, every 7 years, every 14 years. Like there's different breeds. And this year, like the ones that come out every 7 years and every 14 years are overlapping, and that doesn't happen very often. So Like, I think it's been 21 years since the last time that overlapped, something like that. And so it's supposed to be like a lot more. And this year, I don't remember which brood or breed it is, but it's the ones that look like little vampires that have like the red eyes and the white fangs. I remember seeing them once when I was little in Kentucky. Actually, it was when we had gone on a road trip when I was little, and we went to a place in Kentucky, and I remember those cicadas, and they were freaky to a kid, and there were bodies everywhere. Because I don't live very long, so interesting that I'm going back to Kentucky and the same kind of cicadas are coming. I hadn't thought about that until just now. Anyway.
Well, what I think about the eclipse, I think, we're in a portal right now. Well, we had the one eclipse, we're just about to have another eclipse. And to me, the like sandwiches or energetic portals, they work as sort of like garbage disposals or shit grinders, right? So if you want to know what you can do, set your intentions about what you're releasing. Because when you're releasing, you're making room for higher frequency light, right? There's a lot of leveling up that we're going through. So what are you releasing? States of intentions. And also what do you want to bring in, right? It's like we're changing that information now. So just like with any type of energy clearing, what are you letting go of? What are you bringing in?
I look at the eclipses too, like another part of the simulation, another layer of the simulation. Like, I love when the universe shows me what it does, when I can see it in motion. And so this is a time where I can see like the model that's been spinning comes together for that 1 second, and I can see it and I can feel it. And I think that that's just amazing. And it reminds me like whatever's right in front of me that I'm not enjoying, how small that is to like the big picture of everything that's outside. So I love when the universe shows me what.
We just need to pay attention, right?
Amazing. So whatever does happen, you got lots of tools now. We've done 2 hours of tools and prep work for all of that. I'm sure it's going to be exciting because we make it so.
I'll send video from Paducah, Kentucky. I'll send y'all video.
Yes, please do. And like Lana reminded us, it's all about experiencing. So let's note our experiences down, and then when we meet each other again next week, we will have more to share about all of that. And I just want to say thank you for being here today, for all your contributions, and have the best time ever, whatever you do, wherever you go. And we'll resume next week and take it from there. Mwah. Love you all. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks for being here.